Greetings and salutations for what is inevitably going to be the longest hour of my year. My name is Jake Query. To my left, apparently, unbeknownst to me because there was a surprise party to which I was not invited, is Derek Schultz. That's horrible.
You have to blow really hard into these things to get them going. I don't have the lung capacity because I was a smoker. A little bit harder for me.
You do well at a BAC test. You ever watch on live PD or whatever it is? They get the people. No, you need to blow a little bit harder. Keep going.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
not a great.
Where did you get these?
Party blower? Party City, baby. Sorry, go ahead, continue. We've got a show to do. We have a lot to talk about.
Why are you wearing a necklace with marijuana leaves on it?
These are stars. They're fireworks. Because it's 40. It's a milestone birthday.
Did you buy that for yourself?
No, I did not buy my own party favors. Those were purchased for me in celebration of me by others who love me.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What about the decoration behind me?
I didn't even do this. I just came in here and I was like, oh, my God. Like, Vince taped this up here. Jordan did that. Rake brought in donuts.
So today is actually your 40th birthday.
Yes. February 27th.
27th. And then is it leap years that are 29th?
29,
Is this a leap year?
No, it is not.
So what happens if you're born on February 29th?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you just rotate celebrating the 28th or 1st.
That actually is somebody who's truly a miracle.
Well, the joke is that like they only age by every 4 years, right?
Right.
But I never got the leap year big deal. Like,
so what did
February
you do for your 40th birthday?
So my wife had planned a bunch of stuff that I had no idea about. So I was on a text thread with some friends, and I said, hey, do you guys want to watch the IU Purdue game? And we'll, it happens to be my birthday, which they knew, but I mentioned that in there anyway.
Shock.
And Smock, who you've met, goes, no, I'm out. And I was like, that's a little harsh. It is my birthday, but I didn't think anything of it. TJ said he was with his wife's family. Another buddy of mine said he was gone for the weekend, whatever else. So I was like, okay, fine. That's, nobody can do anything. This was like 2 weeks ago. That's fine. So we were going to have dinner with Rob and Allie, Rob Doty, the hugger, who you know.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like committed to the bit. So they were like, yeah, sure, 6:30. Yeah, we'll pick you guys up. We'll go downtown, whatever. So that's what I thought we were doing. My wife disappeared for like 2 hours on Saturday. She said she was going to Target, which is not abnormal. But the 2 hours part was a little abnormal. So I texted her and I was like, what's the deal? Like, did you go to the Target in New Hampshire or did you go to the Target in Glendale? Knock on my door at 12:30 and on my porch is Stolman, my childhood best friend who lives in Los Angeles, who I hadn't seen in 6 years. He's never met my son before. And he was there with his girlfriend. So Ashley arranged that whole thing. So Matt and Mickey, his girlfriend, flew out. And Ashley got us a suite at the Bottle Works Hotel, which is awesome. Really cool. It's like
cool? I've never been there.
It's too cool for Indy.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like you're there and you're like, Indianapolis isn't cool enough for this.
Right.
But anyway, we had like 12 people. All the people that said no in the text message thread came, and we watched the IU Purdue game. Ash and I stayed in the suite and had a great weekend. It was amazing. I'm still basking in the glow of it.
I knew of none of this. Why?
Well, I knew you were going to Kansas.
But you weren't part of the planning of any of this.
No. But I knew you were going to, so I didn't even reach out to you about like texting you about seeing the game or anything like. I informally tried to arrange something for my birthday, which I was going to include.
Which I knew nothing about, right?
But I would have texted you separately. You're not on my college roommates thread, just like I'm not on a thread with Byron and the Love Brothers.
But your wife scheduled a surprise party and did not invite me.
This is the one time of year that it's not about you; it's about me. And people get to celebrate me. You get the other 364 days.
My
of people
50th birthday, when people close to me planned my 50th birthday party, were you invited?
Yes.
Okay.
I was involved in the planning.
Right. So, but yet when it comes to, should I take this personally? That like whoever, the people close to you would not think to invite me?
Here's the thing.
Or did they not want you to be upstaged, which I get?
I was proactive in planning your 50th because I had messaged Shannon in like May of last year. Your birthday was in September. Hey, are you doing a surprise thing for Jake? Because I think it'd be really cool to do a surprise thing for Jake. And she was like, yes, absolutely. I've been thinking about it, but I hadn't gotten the ball rolling. Do you want to reach out to a venue? Yada, yada, yada. So I was involved with that. You had no involvement in this for me.
Well, you didn't almost die.
Are we still doing that? When did that? Was that 2016? When did you almost die? I'm trying to remember.
Well, the expiration date for it was my 50th. The expiration date.
That's expired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, that's why it was like a festival.
I'm making sure because I feel like it's like kind of rotting. It's past its sell by date.
I think it's odd.
The heart attack thing.
I think it's odd that for all of the involvement that I have in you kind of blossoming professionally, that I was not given any proper proper respect.
So doesn't matter.
Of would you like to be a part of this? But again, it probably is like at your bachelor party where you were mad when I showed up because everybody got so excited when I was there and it kind of upstaged everything.
No, it's not that. Like you and I, we're best friends. Like obviously,
clearly not.
Anybody that watches the show knows that we are best friends. Like if Jake were to marry Shannon tomorrow, I'd be his best man.
Well, I don't know about now.
If my wedding was today, you'd be my best man. Probably there's a long cut line. I have a big circle.
Apparently, the cut line is invitations to a birthday party.
That said, sometimes I just like to have things to myself. And because
you had like
of our
64 people there.
Association on the show, a lot of times I can't have things. We have to share things. I'm a triplet already. I've been sharing things my entire life. My Milestone Miracle Birthday, I did not want to share with you. I didn't want it to be the Jake and Derek.
You didn't
birthday.
Want to be upstage.
No, it's not that.
Right.
I just didn't want to share. I wanted to be a little bit selfish here. So I apologize. If that hurt your feelings, as your best friend, I'm sorry.
No, I could
I
see.
didn't mean for that to hurt your feelings.
You wanted to be selfish and not have your friends doing selfies with me, which I get. And by the way, this is NFL Combine Week, which means it's the official Eddie White selfies week, right?
Oh, God. We are going to talk NFL Combine on the show. We have to, right? Let's talk Indiana and Purdue. That's the big. I mentioned that being the watch party. That's the big news, I guess, coming out of the weekend.
Do you know the difference between your birthday party to me and the Indiana-Purdue game to Jalen Hood-Schifino?
It was his coming out party?
Jalen Hood-Schifino was present.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was because he's already kind of seemingly come out a couple times. People know Jalen Hood-Schifino is good. Sometimes we get trapped into hyperbole and overreaction when things first happen. But, Jake, I think I'm right in saying you've been watching the IU-Purdue since you were 6 years old. It's one of the greatest individual performances in rivalry history, no? On the road, especially.
Yeah, for sure.
35 points. I mean, he was incredible. He was the best player on the floor in a game that included probably 2 of the 5 best players in America. And he was the best player on the floor.
Yeah, you're right.
And
That's a good way of saying it.
I know Indiana fans don't want to do this. Indiana fans want to be holier than thou about the rivalry and say, well, we're about Final Fours and contending for... Of course you want to contend for championships and Final Fours. This game matters. This game matters to Indiana fans. I was an Indiana fan. I knew that it mattered to me. It mattered to you. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
And you were an Indiana fan too. This is the first step towards getting back there for Indiana, taking hold of this rivalry again. Because for the last 15 years, there's no question who has been the better program, certainly the more consistent program, and it's been Purdue.
It is surprising that, I said, Derek, at the beginning of the Purdue-Indiana game in Assembly Hall, I said Indiana by 5, and then Purdue by 15 at Mackey, because I did feel like Purdue was the better team, so they would have the bigger advantage at home. Kudos to Indiana. When they got down early, I was like, yeah, this is going to cave in quickly on them. And they weathered that. And then 2 guys, to be honest with you, and Jalen Hood-Schifino was the guy that weathered it for him. What do you have, 23 in the first half?
Yeah, he was crazy.
25 in the first half. But when they finally got the lead, and then they just kept growing that lead. But I thought Trey Galloway and Miller Kopp hit big shots for them that kind of put them in position. And then Hood-Schifino took it back over again. And, of course, Trace Jackson-Davis got a little bit involved at that point. But what I said earlier this morning, and I want your reaction to this, that was, for Jalen Hood-Schifino, the second greatest scoring output for a freshman in IU history. And it comes at Purdue. In a game that I don't know you'd say that they desperately needed, but it certainly helps them in their seeding, in particular for the NCAA tournament, unless the wheels come off here, of course. But with that game, I think what we saw, Derek, I was under the school of thought for the better part of this year that Indiana was going to go as far as Trace Jackson-Davis could take them. I think now we say they go as far as Jalen Hood-Schifino can take them, because they can win games where Trace Jackson Davis does not play well. They can't win games where Jalen Hood-Schifino. They can, but against upper echelon.
But TJD would have to go for like 35 and 15 probably.
Right.
I just think we all knew that for both teams, for both Indiana and Purdue, it was about the supporting cast. And Indiana's supporting cast was just way better on Saturday night.
I mean, his ability, Hood-Schifino was the only guy on the floor that could get his own shot anytime he wanted.
And he was seemingly facilitating for everybody. It was sort of an odd game because Purdue shot 33, I think, free throws to Indiana's 12, and they out-rebounded IU.
And Purdue missed some key free throws down the stretch.
But Indiana just made shots, and they took advantage of the opportunities that they needed to. It just felt like a game that really ever since the second half started with, what was it, a 10-0 run?
Can I put on the necklace for a second?
No, unless you're turning 40 again, which already happened, 20 years ago. The 10-0 run, they never really – no, these are real, actually. Yeah, this is from a jeweler.
That's real marijuana?
These are fireworks. I already explained that to you.
That's not.
If it was my 20th birthday, maybe it would be different, but these are fireworks.
The green one is not a firework, Derek.
This is absolutely a firework, Jake. No, I don't know see the sparkles in it? Let's stay on topic because this is. I've had some complaints. They say, "Hey, I thought you guys were doing a sports show. Like, let's do a sports show here." From the Indiana perspective of things,
who's complaining?
I also don't want to knee-jerk into, like, well, suddenly Indiana's a Final Four contender. No,
I'd like to make a quick point. I'd like to make a quick point.
Okay, hurry up and make it, and then because I've got one to make about sports.
Okay. We've got a huge banner behind you.
Mm-hmm, yes.
We got a huge balloon here.
Okay, that the guys did for me. Thank you, guys. Okay. Appreciate it.
We got these.
Means a lot to me.
We got these El Cheapos.
Streamers.
Whatever those are. And you're dressed like Flava Flav. But yet, I'm the one that is responsible for this getting off the sports subject.
You're the one that's making this a big deal. I didn't make this a big deal, my birthday. Everyone else kind of made this a big deal, and now you're making a big deal, which is great. Like, I appreciate it. Like, again, we're best friends. Like, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
I didn't know it was your birthday today. What is today numerically? It's the 28th?
Yeah, we already did this in the beginning of the show. It's the 27th, and that's my birthday. Yes, today. And as we're taping this.
83?
Yeah.
So you are 40?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
As it says on the balloon and the freaking thing and my necklace. Yes, I'm 40. From an Indiana perspective, I also think it's huge for...
Pretty soon you're going to have to quit wearing the Garanimals and the...
Okay.
I'm just saying. Right. 40.
Let's actually just get that in post because he's interrupting my thought again. 3, 2, 1. From a Mike Woodson perspective, I think this is also a really important and impactful win because, again, he has bigger fish to fry. But, Jake... Indiana had been 5-17 with Crean and Archie against Purdue.
That's amazing.
4 of those wins came in a 2-year span. They were the Zeller teams. The Zeller teams swept Purdue. They were 4-0. Outside of that, they were 1-17 in the other 18 games against Purdue with Archie Miller and Tom Crean. So for Woodson to start off 3-1, it's a big deal.
The other thing where it's a big deal for Mike Woodson is the fact that it was spearheaded by a national elite level 5-star recruit
that committed to him.
His guy, and that he can now say, "See, you come here and you can get to the NBA because
and get to the lottery."
He may. Hood-Schifino may be. I don't know about lottery. I think he's getting. It's amazing to me when I look at mock drafts, which are made to be mocked, but it's amazing to me that he is still not mentioned in a lot of them. Derek, he's going to be...
Hood-Schifino's not mentioned in a lot of mock drafts?
I just saw one yesterday, and I'm like, what are they looking at?
Yeah, you need to...
He is going to be right now he is 15 to 20. He's at 15 to 20.
I mean, any updated one certainly has him somewhere in there.
Hang on, go ahead, I'll pull it up.
Okay, we can go ahead and look. I mean, I know that we had talked about that with, like, Edey and with... Trace Jackson Davis because they're not considered high-level NBA prospects. And I'm not trying to make him into, the number 1 pick or anything like that. Like, that's not going to happen with Jalen Hood.
Okay, I'm looking at Bleacher Report, and I'll let you know when I find him.
That he wouldn't be somewhere in there. And even Trace Jackson Davis, I'm seeing more in the first round. Like in the very late first round, I'm seeing more of Trace Jackson Davis.
I think Trace.
So I think he's actually. I was wrong. I didn't think that he could help his stock, and I think he's helped his stock because he's been that good. Saturday night aside, he was efficient. He wasn't great on Saturday night.
Bleacher Report has him 18, which is probably about right. NBA Draft Room I'm going to look at now. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah,
site?
that's an old one.
Is it?
I mean, that's a site that's been doing it for a while, I think.
Okay.
If I remember right.
Well, I'll let you know where they've got them.
But yeah, again, those things are they're guides. They're not kind of the end-all, be-all. What this means for Purdue, Jake, they've now lost 4 of 6. They're Big Ten champs. They're likely going to win it outright still, so they're going to survive all of that. But the concerns about them peaking too early, I think at this point are pretty well warranted.
16.
We knew that this team was going to have to find more behind Edey, and I think when people say that, they're not talking about Mason Gillis and Ethan Morton. They're talking about the freshman guards. They're talking about Lawyer and Smith, and they haven't been good enough consistently enough, I think, lately.
2 things here, Derek. Number one, Purdue is facing the challenge now of teams that have played them once before and been able to make adjustments on how they're guarding them. And I think that teams have surrendered to Zach Edey. Hey, look, he's going to get his 28 and 12.
Yeah. They're not selling out to stop him, right?
Beat us elsewhere, right? I think Braden Smith is a wonderful player and a really smart basketball player and is going to be a heck of a headache for teams for a long time. But at the beginning of the year, there are those people, I'm not saying I wasn't one of them, that were like, oh, Indiana can talk about their 5-star point guard all they want. Look at this kid that Purdue has. They're number 1 in the country, and he's a smart quarterback. Jalen Hood-Schifino was the best guard on the floor, and it wasn't close. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's there. That's why he was a 5-star. That's why he is an elite-level prospect. And, yes, you know you're getting him for 1 year. But it paid off for them for now, and he does look like a guy that one game does not a season make, Derek. And if he plays like that in the tournament, Indiana can go really far, obviously. Mm-hmm. But then again, there also may be games where in the tournament where he comes out and goes 4 of 15, and now you're in trouble again. Yeah. And that's happened to them also. Additionally, Xavier Johnson coming back is going to be interesting because where do you put him in? Where do you wedge him now?
Can't hurt, though. That's a good problem. You put that in the good problem to have category, right?
It is, but you wonder if it just disrupts what
I hear
they've
you.
done.
I mean, they really recovered. At the beginning of the Big Ten season, you thought, oh my God, like Indiana might really hit the skids
My
here.
My hands are orange again.
And they recovered almost right away.
Did you notice that?
What I worry about with Purdue just in general is that, and this is rare for Purdue, you can push them around a little bit. And some of that has to do with Lawyer and Smith not being where they need to be physically because they're young, right? It's hard to just be a Big Ten player as a freshman, but you couldn't push around Chris Kramer. You couldn't push around Kenny Lowe.
Right.
You could push around these guys. And I think other teams know that, and they can get really physical with Purdue. Like, I don't think Indiana was worried about the foul margin because they knew that was the way to disrupt the Purdue offense was to be physical.
Does Purdue start towards heading into the tournament? Does Purdue start getting more minutes for leadership in the backcourt?
I think where you look to make a change is more minutes for Brandon Newman.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, and maybe scale back. You know, Ethan Morton is a great, like, glue guy, but there are a lot of limitations.
Doesn't that sound
there.
like an insurance agency?
Mason Gillis is another guy that I just feel like should play more.
Life.
Now, Matt Painter knows his rotations better than I do, but Mason Gillis is another guy that I think they should be committed to finding more time.
How about Trey Kaufman-Renn?
I don't know if he's quite ready.
I mean, he's a redshirted year. He's a big-time prospect.
They think that there's a lot of potential there. I'm not as big on the TKR potential train as other people are.
Is that what we're calling all players now that have hyphenated last names?
Yeah, you just take the 3 initials of it.
So,
like, don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a good player at Purdue. I don't look at him and see like an all-conference. And things could change, but I don't look at him and see that.
What would you call Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Well, Kareem is so good, he just goes by his first name. Like, you wouldn't call Trey Kaufman-Renn just Trey because he's not established.
Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, Cat.
No.
Yes.
That makes
everyone.
No sense.
Vince knows exactly what I'm talking about. You call Carl Anthony Towns is called Cat. No one refers to him as Carl Anthony Towns.
But
right? Rake knows what I'm talking about.
But I don't dispute that. But what's weird is Carl is monosyllabic. Kareem, you're not saving anything. So why wouldn't you go? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you should go with like Kaj, and then Carl Anthony Towns just Carl. Why?
Yeah, of course, ridiculous, and it's insulting to Kareem. Kareem is Kareem. Kareem is Magic. Kareem, LeBron.
I mean,
Steph,
I understand, but those
guys are.
But Steph
one
is
name.
monosyllabic. The rest of them are all multisyllabic.
It doesn't matter. You throw your syllabics right out the window. Syllables. Yes, you throw those right out the window for the truly legendary players. Karl Anthony Towns is not there. Trey Kaufman
Okay, what
is
about
not
this?
there.
Jordan.
What about him?
They go with MJ. He goes by initials.
He doesn't have a hyphen.
I know, but people are still doing the
hyphen.
initial thing, right?
I call him Mike
Of course you do.
or Michael.
You would not if you saw Michael Jordan walking down the street, you'd walk up and say, "Hey, Mike."
No, I'd say, hey, GOAT, probably.
No.
You have to address him to his title, greatest of all time. But I'd probably call LeBron the GOAT, too. So
Yeah, I was going to say.
Co-GOAT. I'm a big LeBron guy. You know that already.
Co-GOAT. Kind of like this program.
Let's get to our Lou Malnati's. Who's cooking this
I'll
week?
bet LeBron gets invited to Michael Jordan's birthday parties.
I think it's a little obvious who's cooking this week.
Actually,
By the way,
I would be Jordan.
our friends at Lou Malnati's, I'm not even going to distinguish that with a response. Order.loumalnati's.com. We have T-shirts that we're going to break out last week. Lou's just sent me a whole thing. I think you're probably supposed to get a couple of them too. Whole thing of frozen pies.
Really?
So I got the frozen thin crust. So I know we've
Wow,
talked about
that's
the
awesome.
traditional
That's
Chicago deep dish.
Yeah.
They have
the
a thin crust.
is fabulous.
People in Indiana kind of call it like the tavern style pie, but Chicago is also known for the thin crust pie, and Lou's is
Pizza.
The crust is what they do best. I
Did
think.
did they deliver them to your birthday party, and that's why I didn't get mine?
No, they delivered them to the Schultz Media LLC mailbox downtown, right by the Emma studio. So I pick up my mail over there. Sometimes people send
Right
things
next to
to
where
the
I work?
show for both of us, and I just end up keeping it because it goes to me. I'm the one that has to pick it up, and I'm the one that really kind of drives the bus on this show. So
Yeah, okay.
I take everything. All the gifts that are sent to us or the LLC mailbox end up being Derek gifts, not Jake gifts. Probably shouldn't have admitted that publicly because there are a couple of.
That's mail fraud.
Yeah,
if it's
I've
made
gotten,
out to me, that's mail fraud,
I've
right?
gotten like IndyCar and UCLA shirts that I've just kept. They're XLs, so I sleep in them. But yeah, I just kept them.
Yeah, that's if it's made out to me in your
Schultz Media LLC. That's what it's addressed to. Now the note inside usually says, "Hey Jake, I heard you really like Buc-ee's. Here's a shirt," and then I just keep the shirt. And I don't respond.
There's been a lot that has been divulged on this program.
It's my birthday. We're in the trust tree. We're best friends.
Yeah.
Order.loumalnati's.com. 4
So
Indy
you
area
say.
locations in Avon coming soon, guys. And we're going to be there. Big scissors.
When
All
is
right.
that?
We don't know yet. Still TBD. Scissors are not TBD. Those are D. But the actual opening date for the Avon location is TBD.
Two different scissors, right? We're each going to
Nope.
stand up. Yeah, I think so.
I said what I said. The giant scissors. I think it'd be easy to give it to Jalen Hood-Schifino. It was a big night for him. I think this was a really big night for Mike Woodson. It's an important first step for Indiana to get back to winning against Purdue again and winning at Mackey for the first time in 10 years. I was at the last win at Mackey, and that was, trust me, that feels as long ago as it feels longer than a decade ago because that was like the Oladipo Zeller team.
Right.
And that was not a good – that was the last place Big Ten team. That was Painter's last poor team, really, the 13 team. And they ran him off the floor. And ever since then, Purdue had dominated not only in Mackey, but it really dominated the series at Assembly Hall too. And for Indiana to kind of take back control of the wheel, it's a big deal for Mike Woodson as he tries to win over the fans.
What seed do you see Indiana right now in the tournament? I think there are 4.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was going to say. 4. That win probably pushed
they were
them
already
to a 4.
They were already and I don't know when they started doing this, when they started releasing like
couple years
early.
ago, yeah.
And in that, Indiana was a 4. Mm-hmm. And they've beaten Purdue, who was projected as a 1 since then. Can they move up to a 3? It seems to me like that.
Well, yeah.
But I would think 3 is their ceiling.
If they won out and then won the Big Ten tournament, they could. None of this happens in a vacuum, right? There are other teams that also do things as well, but I wouldn't be closed off to that. They're not going to do that, but I wouldn't be closed off to the idea of them being a 2 if they were to run the table from here.
Man,
because they have some good wins. That Xavier road win has aged tremendously well. The Purdue road win is a great win.
Okay,
they have 2 great road wins.
I think Purdue has slid down to the 2.
When's the last time Indiana had 2 great road wins like that, by the way? It feels like it's been
I
a
will
long
tell you
time.
this is the first time since 1940 that Indiana has swept Purdue in a year where Purdue was ranked both times they played them.
Wow.
And in that year, Purdue won the Big Ten and then said, because the only way to get in the NCAA tournament, the second year of the tournament, was to win your conference. And Purdue said, you know what? You guys beat us twice, you go. And Indiana went and won the whole thing.
Wow. Imagine that happening today.
No. But Purdue, to me, is now a 2. Can they slide back into a 1? They'd have to win the Big Ten. Don't you think?
I mean, again, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. I'm not shut off to that idea either. And that stings Purdue because it's much easier for the 1 to beat the 8-9. That happens far more often than the 2 beating the 7-10 winner. The 7-10 winners beat 2s all the time.
Who are your 4 number 1s right now?
I haven't even honestly looked at the bracketology of some of the other teams and all of that. I've been so laser focused on my birthday and on Indiana, Purdue, and Butler. I want to keep it right there. So I'm not interested in talking about Alabama
let me make
or Houston.
Let me make a public
anything.
service announcement
I'm not
if I could.
interested about that.
Hi there. My name is Jake Query. I'm a co-host on Query and Schultz, a fine program you see here on the ISC Sports Network and you listen to in podcast form, which we very much appreciate. I'm also the one who has been falsely accused of taking this show away from sports, despite the fact that I just asked the most elementary of sports questions, of which anybody who has any inkling of following sports at all should be able to quickly answer about the state of college basketball this just weeks away from Selection Sunday.
Congratulations.
Yet, he who is throwing the arrows, slinging them past me about going off subject, just said, and I quote, I haven't had time to follow sports. I've been laser focused on my birthday.
I said, this is what I've been laser focused on and on my birthday, and I don't have time on this show to talk about Kansas being a 1 seed. I don't care. Kansas is probably the best team in the country right now. Cool. I don't care.
Kansas, Houston.
What? UCLA?
UCLA, okay. Alabama.
Great.
See how hard that was?
Okay. Great. No one cares about any of those teams in our listening audience.
I think Purdue fans do
care.
if they think that means that is who they're chasing for the 1 seed.
Okay.
Purdue all year thought they were going to be a 1 seed. Right?
Yes.
And then for what reason would Purdue now be sliding out of the number 1 seed?
Losing to Indiana.
Okay. And in order to get back into the 1 seed, they're going to have someone lose, correct?
Not necessarily.
And Purdue fans might be interested to know who that would be that they're competing against, right?
Maybe. I don't know. You went to a Kansas game. That's why you wanted to bring it up. You want to be like, hey, I went to a Kansas game.
No, but you already said I went to a Kansas game.
Well, that's why you want to do that. See, we just spent 5 minutes, and this is 5 minutes that could have been spent talking about, I don't know, the Colts or the Combine or IndyCar.
I got video for you at the Kansas game of the crowd doing Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU. Do you want to hear it?
No.
Okay.
Not like here. I've heard Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU, whatever. When we come back, Colts, Combine. Anthony Richardson is appearing at number 1 in mock drafts now. So we'll talk about Anthony Richardson, the most polarizing prospect of the Colts' possibilities in the first round when we return. It's Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group, and it's on ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgages and snap. Duh.
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate. They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgages and snap. Duh.
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood Financial Group presents Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Rake brought in donuts, so Jake enjoying those. If you are about to enjoy a new home, you need to get pre-approved for your mortgage. Call our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. 5-star customer service for Mike Wood and his team. 13 Indiana branch locations for Bailey & Wood Financial Group. Proud presenting sponsor of this show.
And also very involved in Central Indiana. Different organizations, different groups helping out Hoosiers and making sure that everybody's money stays right here locally, which is fabulous.
I know you're going to love this, Jake, because you talk about it basically 4 hours every day, but we can talk.
This is actually very good for your
NFL Combine now, and that's defensive players, I think, reporting as of Monday when we're taping this. And the rest of the week, more players will report. They'll go through workouts, and essentially, by the time you're watching this, those workouts will be going on, and all the coaches converge, and people with the numbers on their sweatshirts are all walking around downtown.
Hey, Coach, you good?
Yeah.
You good, Coach?
You have a lot of that going on.
Good seeing you, Coach.
This is actually an interesting combine. Now that the Colts have been, kind of sucking lately, the combine I feel like has been more interesting because they're not drafting like 24th.
Can I make my annual combine, not rant, but observation?
Sure.
Early when the combine became known, it was super top secret, really important stuff happens. Nobody's allowed to know what goes on. Really important stuff. Very critically important towards, times would get leaked. Leland McElroy ran a 4.19, got a standing ovation from the scouts. Bo Jackson he was so fast that it was a negative time.
I don't think did they credential media to watch it? I don't think they did, right? Back in those days.
Oh, no. It was like the most top secret
You could
thing
only shoot
ever.
outside the stadium.
Oh, it was, trust me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, oh, no, this is very important, top-notch, top secret stuff. We'll give you snippets of what's going on, but for the most part, we can't tell you about what's going on in the combine. Like, you have to be a top 3 scout for an organization, or else you're not even allowed in. And then they realized you might be able to make money off this.
People care about this.
So they put it on. They remember they first did a lottery. We're going to let 1,000 fans in.
I remember. Yeah.
And then they started televising it, little bits at a time. Now it's everybody come in, you come in, and everybody come in. And now that everybody's there, guess what they said? Yeah, it's not really that important. Yeah, it gives us a good idea, but it's not the end-all be-all. We prefer the pro days. That's where we find out who guys are.
You're the host network, so I get why you guys would want a presence there. I think the idea of an NFL Combine Radio Row for a station in like Kansas City to come in for NFL Combine Week is completely absurd. I think it is completely and totally absurd.
Right.
I do.
Well, my point
that
being,
you would travel
my
here
point being,
for
Derek,
this event.
When no one could see what was going on, we were told that it was the most critically important week in the NFL schedule. And now that everybody can see what's going on and can see that it's nothing but a bunch of guys walking around, it's 70-year-old fat guys in sweatpants before they go to St. Elmo for dinner, walking around and poking and prodding guys in jockey underwear. And then timing them on the 40, and then bragging about how much the vertical leap of a center.
It's important. It has its place, but it is the most overblown and overrated thing in sports.
I mean, it is. No, it's
like I'm tired of it now. It hasn't even started yet, and I'm already tired.
I
of
will
NFL
say,
Combine.
from an informational standpoint, it's good because it gives you indication as to who teams might be looking at or what prospects.
The media availability is
are in the
important.
draft,
Sure,
right.
Yeah, I get all of that. And guys talking. Let's talk about Anthony Richardson. I think by far the most interesting and certainly the most polarizing quarterback prospect for the Colts. He has risen in some cases to number 1 in mock drafts.
Derek, what did I say last week?
Because he's viewed as a higher ceiling guy.
What did I say
than
last
Young
week?
or Stroud or Levis.
Here it comes. Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. This is what the Combine's all about. Guys that have, oh, man, the word is you should see. He's got all the intangibles. He's skyrocketing up the boards. Boy, he has upside galore. He has an amazing body. His arm talent is there. The way that he can run, he did a 40. You should have seen his shuttle drill. And these guys are all going to start moving up, and you're going to hear more and more about these guys that you'd never heard of before. I'm not saying those two guys, but, all of a sudden, boy, the scouts – Malik Willis. Remember, everybody fell in love with Malik Willis. Got to get Malik Willis. Trade up, get Malik Willis. Going to be a must player. Tennessee has him. I don't even think,
Well, they cooled on him after because he fell, into the third round, didn't he?
Yeah.
But
I could go on and on, though, with quarterbacks that, you hadn't heard of going into the combine.
Trubisky is a big one.
Trubisky's a big one, yeah.
Really shot up.
Tannehill was one of them.
Really? Yeah, Tannehill was another. I mean, Tannehill looked the part.
I will say Mahomes did.
Yeah.
To be fair, but
what I worry about with Richardson, and look, we've seen it with really highly qualified is the wrong word. Guys with a bunch of experience have also failed. There's no rhyme or reason to picking a quarterback. But if we're going to make a Trubisky comparison, Trubisky, I think, had one season where he was a starter. One.
Correct.
Anthony Richardson has started 12 games. And all of the evaluation about him and the tape that he's shown basically has been from those 12 games. And there are a lot of things that are exciting because you can teach footwork, you can teach mechanics and all of that. But I guess my point is, Jake, is that he still needs to learn all that stuff.
Right.
You have to establish just a floor for him before he can come in and be your guy. So I get that people are really excited about what Anthony Richardson could be in 2028, but does he get to 2028 maybe that's even too far, 2026. But does he get to 2026 if he's a disaster in 23,
Right.
24,
No,
and
you're
25? Because you're still trying to teach him all this stuff.
Derek, for the Colts right now, slotted fourth. A lot of talk that Chicago is open for business at number one.
Of course they are. I mean, we didn't need reports to know that.
So exactly, I would agree with that. And theoretically, anybody that is looking to tango with Chicago to move up to number one is doing it because they want a quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? So you have Chicago at 1, you have Houston at 2, or Arizona at 3. Arizona's the wild card here because I could see Arizona trading out. Arizona may say to themselves, look, we don't need a quarterback. We got Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
So let's trade out to a quarterback-hungry team. We'll fall back to 8 and take a good defensive player or lineman or whatever they need, right? So it is possible that the Colts need to go into this under the thought process that they may well be taking the fourth quarterback. Between Young, Stroud, Richardson, Levis, one of those four, they may get the fourth pick of very well. The other thing the Colts could do is Kevin Bowen, who is now my favorite co-host because Kevin would invite me to a birthday party. Kevin Bowen made a really good point this morning on our show when he was saying the other thing you have to worry about if you're the Colts of not only trying to get your quarterback, but also with Houston drafting in front of you, you don't want the guy that you would prefer to be the guy now you got to play against for 10 years in the division. So is it in the Colts' best interest to start smoke screening galore to get, if for example, if the Colts look at it and they say, there's not a huge difference between C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, is it in their best interest to start smoke screening galore to force Houston to move up to number one, to give up assets so that you're now depleting Houston of anything they have aside from that quarterback, and then you take one of any two guys right behind Bryce Young and you force Houston to trade up in paranoia that you are going to vault them?
I mean, you could certainly do that, yes. But I would give Houston the same advice that I would give the Colts. If you're in love with somebody, trade up to one and get them. If you're absolutely in love with somebody, trade up to one and get them. Just pay whatever you're going to pay.
But Derek, at what cost?
At any cost.
But what if somebody else is in a bidding war with you?
Then you outbid them. It's simple. If you're in love with somebody. Now, if you're not, if you think Stroud and Young and Richardson are all similar players, then stay at 4.
Here's what I keep saying. What I keep saying is the Colts need to assess, if you were to put price tags on it, whatever the price difference is between the 1 and the 4 at quarterback, is that a greater price than what you would have to pay to move up? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it is in the sense that this may change after the combine. It feels like Levis is starting to really fall back. Levis is clearly the 4th guy of those 4. In some mocks, he's got a second-round grade. He's only mocked in the first round because he's a quarterback.
Right.
And that's, it's the quarterback tax.
Levis, I've seen Levis with high-end Matthew Stafford, low-end and more likely Carson Wentz.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen Levis at 9 to Carolina, right? Are they picking 9? Right. I think they are.
Poor Carolina. We're going to have 74 quarterbacks on our roster.
Poor Houston. You talk about, I mean, that win in Indy is destructive. That was not only was it a bad thing to do, it was destructive to their franchise to win that game.
Well,
it was. I mean, people don't want to say that because, well, you play to win the game and all of that. That was destructive to their franchise to win that game.
What happened with their coaching situation right afterwards?
Well, Lovey, he was probably gone anyway, but I think it's hilarious. If I'm Lovey, I'm kicking my feet back being like, this is the most hilarious thing in the world.
Lovey, do you think Lovey said, you know what? I'm going to butcher this so that.
No. Coaches try to win.
Okay.
Period. Yeah. Executives not always. Owners not always. Coaches try to win.
Okay.
Coaches try to win. Yep. Coaches and players don't tank.
Fair enough.
But I do think that there have been cases, whether they want to admit it or not, front office has. But Houston has to trade something now to get up. I saw a package on, I think it was on CBS, and this is a lot, Jake, that the Colts would have to give up, obviously the 4th pick, and then a 2nd and 4th rounder this year, a 2024 first, and a 2025 second.
I mean, come on.
That's a lot
no way.
to move up 3 spots.
Here's the thing.
But if you're in love with one of those quarterbacks, go get them.
You're drafting, you've got to get them pieces. They don't have game-changing receivers. They got to get them pieces.
But you can't also be the Niners where you know that you're not going anywhere. The Niners roster is loaded. Like they have guys up and down everywhere. They can't get anywhere because they've got 4th-string guys out there. 3rd-string, 2nd-string guys.
Can't get anywhere, Derek. They just got like a fracture from the Super Bowl with a quarterback that was Mr. Irrelevant.
They can't win the title. You can get
You don't think
win.
You don't think San Francisco could have won the title this year with Jimmy Garoppolo?
No. They didn't 3 years ago with Jimmy Garoppolo.
But I'm talking about this group. They got McCaffrey. No. You just said they got talent all over the roster. They had a guy that was playing.
Jake, with a healthy Brock Purdy, they weren't beating Philly.
Brock Purdy is
I'm just saying,
4th
like
round.
We blame the
last
injury
player
for why
selected
that happened.
in the draft.
They weren't. You think they were beating Philly with Jimmy Garoppolo? They got run off the field in that game. Even after the injury.
Trey Lance?
I mean, maybe he's that guy. I don't know. My point is that you can have a really good roster, but you can't win without that.
San Francisco, they have good uniforms.
They do have great uniforms. I think my favorite actual uniforms for San Francisco.
We need to get to Love That Play?
Let's do it right now.
Okay.
Love That Play. There were so many choices for Love That Play this week. I've never seen so many buzzer beaters in a weekend in college basketball.
Agreed.
I mean,
by the way,
not with 1 second left or 2 seconds left, like straight buzzer beaters.
Love That Play, by the way, is brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air Conditioning. 317-353-2141 is their telephone number. That's 317-353-2141. Love Heating and Air has been around for over 100 years. Love-HVAC.com is their website. And you're talking about great customer service, a family business that's been around for 4 generations, and making sure that they're doing everything they can to give you the best product possible with the great prices. That's what you get from Love Heating and Air. And if you want to know how long I have known Chris and John Love and how much I trust them to have you bring them into your home to make sure that you are comfortable. Keep in mind that for my birthday parties, not only did Chris and John Love fly me in an airplane with their dad for like our 10th birthday party, they were at my 50th birthday party, unlike somebody else who neglected to invite me to any birthday celebrations. I'm not
about you today?
Pointing any fingers.
It's only about one person today.
I'm just saying.
Your
nominee for Love That Play is, Derek?
It's all the buzzer beaters. I couldn't choose one. Half quarter, Arizona State's a rivalry game.
Iowa, Indiana women.
That's pretty close. Caitlin Clark against IU. I don't want to say that Love That Play because I didn't love it. I wanted to see Indiana win, right?
Hunter Dickinson.
There was the San Diego State, New Mexico game in the pit. It was all on the road, which is awesome. Road buzzer beaters are great.
How about New Mexico, by the way, the last team in college basketball this year to lose?
Yeah.
Their first game.
And they might not even
So, in other words, the longest undefeated team, and they're probably not going to make the tournament.
This is wild. FSU Miami.
Okay.
Joel Embiid almost had a – did you see that? He, threw it in, and it was, second late. But
there was one other one I was thinking of.
It was full court.
There was one other one I was thinking of. I'll think of it in a second. I don't get old.
Okay.
You still got 10 years to go. Although, at 40, do you feel old?
I do. I'm tired a lot more. Which obviously has nothing to do with the shape that I'm in. I'm in excellent shape, but I feel I feel 40. I feel
Now,
weathered.
now you finally have reached the age, Derek, where when you go to the doctor to get your physical, finally your doctor is going to be justified in doing the procedure he's been doing on you annually for like 10 years.
IndyCar season
remember that?
starts.
You remember
We'll
when you
talk
went
some
and you're like,
Pacers
yeah,
as
I
well.
got the dreaded thumb. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
And it wasn't his thumb.
Oh, really? Yeah. Wow. This took a turn.
I blacked it out, so I'm trying to remember
Okay.
which one it was. I really don't want to think about it. We got our Sage Move of the Week. We have plenty more to get to that has nothing to do with prostate exams when we come back.
They don't even have to do that anymore, by the way, just so you know.
Just relax. It's Query and Schultz.
Just so you know. I mean, if he tells you that, that's a
ISC
lie.
Sports Network.
Go to a different guy.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate. They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Derek, I forgot to tell you, last week for Fat Tuesday, we went to Leader House.
Midtown, yep. Right there in Midtown.
And saw a band, Dysfunction Brass, I think is what they're called. They're really fun. Good brass band, obviously. And their trumpet player came up to me in between songs, really nice guy, and said, oh my gosh, I had to come up to you, and this doesn't happen often, but I want to tell you this as part of your birthday. And he said, I am like almost nervous to meet you because I am the biggest fan of Schultz. And he's like, and I love listening to you guys because I love Schultz. And I said, oh.
Yeah, that does happen.
Okay.
Yep.
And Shannon said, oh, he's great. And the guy said, no doubt, I am a card-carrying member of the Andrew Schultz fan club. I said, well, his name's
the show,
Derek.
yeah, okay. The show is branded as, I didn't expect you to go there. The show's branded as Query and Schultz. So I don't know if everyone knows that my first name is Derek, because I'm usually referred to as either Schultz, Schultzy, or Mr. Schultz.
Who calls you Mr. Schultz?
Well, I'll see listeners on the street that come up to me and say, Mr. Schultz, I love the show, or whatever else. That are younger, or I've had women come up and say that.
We know it's not Kent Harvey, right?
Female listeners come up and say Mr. Schultz.
Yeah. Okay.
To me as well.
Sure.
Got no problem with that.
Okay.
I mean, when you have this kind of sex appeal. These are really challenging. I should have gotten the
I'll get a better
higher
one.
end
I'll get a
ones.
better one here.
Should have gotten the higher end ones.
So you did buy them.
Huh?
You did buy them.
No, Ashley should have gotten the higher end ones. She bought all the party favors.
You just said, I should have.
She should have gotten the higher
No,
end
you said
ones.
I should have.
We can check that in post, but she should have gotten the higher end ones, is what I said. So you're going to be gone every weekend for a while. IndyCar's starting up. Going to St. Pete. One of my favorite dates of the year. I wanted to get your reaction to the, and take this with a grain of salt because this is name. The gambling odds for IndyCar almost always push the big names up more because, no offense to IndyCar, but people outside of Indianapolis haven't heard of a lot of these guys. So it's easier for Vegas to do it that way. But I looked at the points champion odds and found some numbers that I thought were pretty interesting.
Okay, I have not looked at this. So you tell me the driver and I'll tell you the odds, okay?
Why don't we start with the favorite? Is Joseph Newgarden. Now, obviously, these are not like great odds because it's hard to win an IndyCar Points Championship. But
Okay, so if Joseph Newgarden, so what is this, like plus 100, 150,
Yes.
250?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I would put Joseph Newgarden at plus 150.
plus 425.
Really?
That's the favorite. See, it's a season long, Jake, and there are a lot of competitors. So 150 would be like you would put Jimmy Johnson in his prime in his dynasty to win Cup. You'd put it plus 150.
Okay, so Newgarden's at plus 425.
Yeah.
Okay. Next,
Power,
plus 500.
close, 475.
Okay. All right. Next, I would put, by the way, Scott Dixon.
No.
Pata Award.
Yes.
Yeah. Pata Award, I would put at plus 500.
600. And then 3 at plus 800.
There are 3 drivers at plus 800, you're telling me.
All uber talented.
Scott Dixon?
No. Scott Dixon is 7th on the IndyCar Points Championship list. Isn't that crazy? Plus 900, that's worth $10, don't you think? Scott Dixon for a Points Championship, $10?
Marcus Ericsson?
No, actually, he's below Dixon.
I can't believe I just completely. Scott McLaughlin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plus 800.
Okay. Alexander Rossi?
Different Alex.
Alex Pillow.
Yep.
Okay.
Rossi's down the list a decent amount. And then one more kind of young gun who is, because of his inconsistency, I don't think is a great option for a points champion because he either wins the race or something bad happens and he's like 20th.
Not Rosenquist.
Herta.
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing. Of those names you
because
just
am I right in
mentioned-
saying, Jake, you have to hit like singles and doubles in IndyCar
Hold
to
on.
win
Of those
a points
names
championship.
that you just mentioned to me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you put $10 on each of them, well, yeah, you're giving $70 up. You're right. So you'd have to.
Yeah, because you're only winning like $40 for Newgarden or.
Right.
Yeah, so you're losing money. But if you also threw it on Rossi at plus 2,500 or Ericsson at plus 1,300, that might even it out a
Rossi's
little
plus
bit.
2,500.
Yeah.
So you put $10 down, you win $250.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad. I mean, Dixon pays 90. Dixon pays $90 on $10. Who's won what? 5 points championships?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, I don't know. I thought that was that was interesting.
Pata Award is going to be very tough to beat. The interesting thing is going to be Pata Award, Rossi, Rosenquist. I mean, those guys are all teammates now, and that's we'll see how competitive that works, how much it balances out. Rosenquist is a good driver too, but I think Pata Award's pretty darn good.
I mean, it's great. It's great that we have probably 8 or 9 guys where you wouldn't get laughed out of the room if you suggest that they won the points championship, whereas 20 years ago it was 3 or 4 probably.
It was 2 teams.
Yeah, and 2 teams as well. I mean, you were talking about more teams getting involved here. Also, the Pacers, this segment's sort of become the catch-all because I didn't think there was anything real relevant to talk about when it came to like spending a whole segment
Like
on
your birthday?
IndyCar or spending a whole segment on the Pacers. They've won 2 of 3 now in the middle of a 4-game, 10-day road swing. Dallas, San Antonio, and then Chicago before they come back home. They beat Orlando the other night, and at this point, Jake, I know that I've been kind of anti-tanking. They're not going to get down to like the Pistons level for the pick, but probably would be best for them to just kind of stay where they are.
So you're saying
I wouldn't really want to see a late season run here for the Pacers.
Are you saying for the playoffs you would not want to see them invited?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't that sound familiar?
I'm sorry that if I would have known that this hurt you, the last thing that I want to do is hurt my best friend. Well, so if I knew that this hurt you so bad, I would have. Well, what do you want me to do? Tell Ashley, hey, if you're planning a surprise party, invite my Indiana best friend?
Well, your Indiana best friend is the hugger, right?
It's you.
Yeah.
You're my Indiana best friend. Congratulations.
Hardly.
Mm-hmm.
And there I sit.
And you told me right after we talked, 24 hours after you almost croaked? And you told me right then. You said, you know what? You said non-Indiana resident or non-Indiana native best friend.
you're the only person I know that's not an Indiana native. Do you know? No, I don't think I did call you. I wasn't medicated.
You called me. Yeah.
No,
you called me. I have it probably in my call log. October, whatever, 15th.
Lord knows you wouldn't have deleted that, right?
10:58 p.m. Well, it was a voicemail first.
Were there any expletives in it?
Well, no. You said when you came through that you thought of Shannon and your family, obviously, and you thought of me. And I couldn't answer.
Right.
I think we were out somewhere. I think I was picking up like Chick-fil-A or something. Mm-hmm. And you had said that, and then I eventually had you call back. And that's how that went down. Exactly how that went down. Let's get to our Sage Move of the Week. It's brought to you by our friends at WGU Indiana. Wanted to say this about WGU. They are they're I don't know if contract is expiring or how we actually say this. Their partnership with us is up at the end of this month. So obviously, it being February 27th, this is the last show that involves them. And you guys have seen this on the show where sometimes sponsors kind of come and go and based on when things are burning hot or whatever else. WGU's been with us from pretty much the very beginning. I think October of 20 maybe was their first month. They might not have been on the initial month. I have to actually go back and look. And they've been huge supporters of the program, and we really appreciate it. Having Sage come in studio and touch me like
and
was
Derek,
my favorite. But
not only has WGU been a great partner for us, and we're very appreciative of it, but also giving Hoosiers the opportunity to either continue their education or if you started out in college and life got in the way, you never went back and finished, or if you simply thought that college was something that you need to advance yourself within your place of employment or get a dream job, and you thought it wasn't possible for finances or schedule, that's what WGU does. 700,000 Hoosiers have college credit that they have not yet completed. And then, of course, there are the rest of you who might be looking at going to school. WGU, easy for me to say, gives you that option. WGU.edu/Indiana, Indiana's largest online accredited university where you can go and work at your own pace. I'm taking classes online, and I can tell you it's fabulous because you do work depending on what days and what times you have the freedom to get something done. You get it done right there in the comfort of your own home. And that's the great thing about WGU and the service they provide for the people of Indiana. And thank you so much for being a loyal partner to us throughout the course of this show, Derek.
yeah, so it's not goodbye. It's just see you later.
That's right.
For our Sage Move of the Week in WGU. 71 for Dame. Were you going to go in a different?
I was actually going to go not on a Sage move, but the hesitation of a Sage move, if you will.
Okay.
Trace Jackson Davis had said after the Indiana-Purdue game that in the huddle during the course of the game, Mike Woodson had said, look, Trace, we got to get you involved, and let's run some plays here to go to the inside. And Trace Jackson Davis basically stopped him and said, no, man, we got to keep feeding the hot hand. They can't stop him. So let's just keep going to Jalen Hood-Schifino. And kudos not only to Trace Jackson Davis for doing that, because that's rare that a player would do that, but also to Mike Woodson for saying, okay, let's do it. Mike Woodson showing that he's a player's coach in that instance and going ahead and sticking with Jalen Hood-Schifino and continuing to run sets through him to allow him to get 35 points. To me, that's the Sage move.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're Trace, you've got the numbers already.
Yeah, of course.
You need if you're doing a legacy play, you need the wins.
Right.
You know what I mean? You need the team accomplishments. So I'm glad that he's bought in that way. That's the kind of player I think he is anyway.
Pretty good
but
leadership.
I'm glad that he's bought in that way. 71 for Damian Lillard the other night.
Pretty impressive.
It's just
41
insane.
at the half.
Eighth most in NBA history. Elgin Baylor did it, who's just chronically underrated as a player. And David Robinson. I had a basketball card that I think had David Robinson in 71.
Wasn't it the last game of the year when he did it?
I don't remember it being the last game. Maybe. It was his MVP year.
It was the last game of the season, I think, and it gave him a scoring title.
I think it was his MVP year.
That might be right.
Was it Hakeem and Robinson, 94, 95? No, Barkley was the other one that won MVP. The non-Jordan years, I think Barkley won 94 and Robinson won 95 MVP.
Hakeem didn't win one?
Did Hakeem not win an MVP?
In one of those 2 years, right?
I thought Barkley was the other one that won.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I do.
Or did Barkley win like 93 instead of Jordan? Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it was Barkley, Olajuwon, Robinson. Maybe that's what it was. Hakeem, in 94, Hakeem was incredible. I mean, that Rockets team was not very good. It was like Otis Thorpe and Vernon Maxwell.
Unbelievable player. Dude.
And a young Robert Horry and a young Sam Cassell. and Hakeem was amazing.
The NBA most valuable player.
Hit me with the 90s years.
That sounds like a Britney song. 1990.
Yep.
Go ahead. 1990.
Oh, who's the MVP in 90?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Jordan?
No.
I don't remember.
Come on.
Hit me with it. Magic. Bird.
Yes. 91.
Jordan.
92.
Jordan.
93.
Barkley.
94.
Hakeem.
95.
Robinson.
96.
Jordan. Wait, no, not Jordan. He wouldn't have been back yet. 96 would have been...
Jordan's right.
He is?
97.
Oh, wait, 94, 95 was the year that he came back. 97, Jordan again.
No.
Malone.
Yes. 98.
Malone again.
No.
Jordan.
Yes. 99.
Who's the MVP in 99?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Who won it that year? The Spurs? But Duncan was too young for MVP. Shaq was 2000. Iverson was 01.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't even know who to guess.
Malone.
Oh, it was? Okay. Malone
Now,
did win too. I did
Okay, let me ask you this. Which, in the last 25 years, which would you list as the most forgettable, obscure is probably the wrong word, MVP?
Derrick Rose?
Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Steve Nash.
Well, Nash won too, so it's hard to say he was forgettable. Westbrook averaged a triple-double, right? So it's hard to say that's forgettable. And I think people assume that Harden would have won one. So clearly, unfortunately, it's Rose because the injury just...
He was a great player, though. Okay, now, last question on MVPs. In my lifetime, which of these two would you say have been more forgotten over the course of history?
Okay.
Dave Cowens, Bob McAdoo.
Cowens.
Think so?
Because there's so many other great players around him, whereas I think McAdoo's more... McAdoo would have been like Buffalo. Is that right?
Yeah. I remember when Bob McAdoo played for
Did he play for the Pistons too?
Late in his career.
Or am I thinking of Bob
He
Lanier?
played for the Lakers. That's Lanier.
Okay.
Late in his career, and I just remember the PA announcer, Bob McAdoo, anytime he'd score.
Oh.
Like his name was perfect for the Forum PA announcer.
Not bad.
What are we doing next?
We've got to wrap up Ball State Cards in 60 and Biter Bobley.
Okay.
And anything that you want to say to me on my birthday. So celebrating me. We come back. So I'll give you...
Could have done that at your party.
However long you need. What do we have? 2-3 minutes? Whatever else. Oh, Vince is rapping. Okay.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
A couple of quick news bites that we hadn't gotten to because Jake was doing whatever Jake does, distracting the show, harming the show, eating during the show. Gus Bradley is, in fact, staying on as Colts defensive coordinator. Also, Tony Sperano Jr. has the honor of being the next Colts offensive line coach.
Okay.
So the son of the late Tony Sperano, who people might remember was the Dolphins head coach for a spell.
Now, that's not the
middle
guy that was in the
2000s.
diner when Don't Stop Believing started playing, right?
No, but he is also no longer with us. James Gandolfini. Yeah.
Also, AP college basketball rankings. They must think a lot of Indiana because Purdue, by losing at home to Indiana, did not slip in the rankings. They're still number 5. Hoosiers 15th.
Did teams lose around Purdue? I don't remember who was like 6, 7, 8, whatever else. Tennessee? No, not Tennessee.
Marquette? Marquette's like 10, right?
Did Texas lose?
Let's see.
Tennessee
we
wouldn't have
could-
been high enough to.
We could look
get
these
there.
things up during the break, Derek, and then we could be prepared.
Well, whatever. I'll let you go ahead and look it up. Ball State Cards in 60. Unfortunately, the women fell just short of jumping into the MAC lead. They lost to Toledo 72-70, just a heartbreaker over the weekend, who swept both games from the Cards this year. So still 23-6, 13-3. They'll finish the regular season with a pair of road games at Bowling Green and at Miami. Still have hopes of making the NCAA tournament. They'll have to win the MAC tournament, obviously, to do so. And then have a chance in the postseason, wherever that is. NCAA tournament, WNIT, whatever it is.
Nobody lost around them, Derek. I mean, Houston, Alabama, Kansas.
Virginia lost, right?
Everybody in the top 5 stayed the same.
Didn't Virginia lose?
Virginia did lose. They were 6.
Okay, but they were lower
6,
than that. Yeah, so that didn't.
So everybody in the top 5 remains the same, followed by Marquette, Baylor, Arizona, Texas, and Gonzaga. That's the top 10.
The men for
Indiana
Ball State,
again, 15.
Great win over MAC leader Kent State, but then followed it up by unexpectedly losing to Eastern Michigan. So they're currently in 4th place in the MAC. They've got 3rd place Akron at home this week and 1st place Toledo on the road Friday night. Or sorry, the home finale is Toledo, 1st place Friday night at Worthen. So get your tickets, 888-BSU-TICKET or ballstatesports.com.
You know who's going to make a run? You know who's
BSUsports.com.
going to make a run in the tournament that just snuck their way into the top 25?
Who?
Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I hope you're right.
I don't see it.
I hope I'm wrong and you're right.
Yeah, they did salvage their season. I mean, it looked for a second there that things were.
But this is
gonna
what
fall off the
Calipari
cliff.
does, right? You get these young groups, and then they gel together, and it's like, here they come.
Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing that
And then they all go
would've-
play for the Kings.
It's embarrassing that a team with that talent level would have fallen out of the top 25 to begin with, to be totally. But it's so interesting, Jake, on perspectives. Indiana was the slam dunk Big Ten title favorite going into this year. And now we're in March.
And Purdue, like people are going to be like, this is a terrible year.
This is a failure or whatever else.
Right.
And it's like, well, it's just, expectations, I guess, change over the course of the year. But it's hilarious to me that on March 1st, Indiana fans are feeling great about themselves despite being in, 3rd place. And Purdue fans coming off another regular season
title. Did you
title
check on the clock on
feeling
what
poor.
we have left in the show?
Oh, I
Because
had
now
no
that you're
idea.
40 and I'm 50, we both of us need to be more conscientious of
I know.
how
Let's
much
get to
time
Biter
is
Bull
left,
because I
right?
have no idea how much time that we have left. Maybe they could do like hand motions in there for us. Chateau Kitchens
How about
working on
this?
the basement this week.
If I buy it, I'll do this.
Oh, Rake's doing a hand motion, but it was not for the clock. So we don't know how much time we have.
The hair on my arm's kind of gross right there. Is
You
that a
ruined
bruise?
it.
Is that a bruise or hair?
You ruined the time. ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram, at Chateau Kitchens on Facebook as well for before and after pictures. They're coming to my house and starting my basement on Thursday. We cleared everything out of the basement.
Okay.
So it's happening.
What happens to the starting lineup figures?
They're already packed away. I bubble wrapped them,
Where
packed
do they
them
go?
away.
Are they off to a farm?
No, climate control storage. Why is that funny?
What climate control do your starting lineup
People do that
action
with
fi-
valuables. They put them in climate
They're not
controlled storage.
valuable.
They're valuable to me. Like the street value of a Patrick
They're already
Ewing starting
small,
lineup
Derek.
figurine
You don't worry about shrinkage.
is not great, but they need to be climate. They can't be frozen hot.
Who
For,
do you have Patrick Ewing. Who else?
The plastic will melt. No, it's just Patrick Ewing. My whole SLU collection is just Patrick Ewing.
SLU
Starting lineup, SLU.
Okay.
You're a pack rat, and you're going to hate on me for this.
You haven't been to my place.
No, you're a hoarder.
No,
essentially.
No, I got rid of 60% of what I own.
You still have way too much crap. Even
tell-
60% isn't enough.
I'm telling you, half of downtown Indianapolis is walking around with eyes out IndyCar series.
My basement could not fit all the crap that you have.
Not
And it's
true.
a decent-sized basement, which
Have I-
Chateau
have
is
I
going to
shown you
renovate for
pictures
me
of my place
beautifully.
since I
Can't
cleaned
wait.
it out?
No, we actually have to wrap up the show at some point today. The guys want to eat. They want to get the hell out of here. Major League Baseball does not need a pitch clock. Bite or bull bleep?
That's 1,000% bullshit. I'm all for it.
I'm all for trying anything.
mean-
Let's see how we do.
They need fans.
Let's see how we do. But the 4.5-hour Red Sox Yankees Sunday night baseball game, that doesn't do anything for anybody. So, sure, I am open to pitch clock. Does it need it? That is still TBD. That's a cop-out for bite or bull bleep. But I guess I'll say bull bleep because I don't know if it needs a pitch clock. But we'll see. Scott McLaughlin should be the favorite to be IndyCar champion. Bite or bull bleep?
No, I think Paulo O'Ward should be.
Yeah?
I think Pata's a boomer bust guy, but he's matured. I think he's a hell of a talent, and he's with a good team. I would say Pata Award, followed by, Newgarden. Newgarden, Pata Award are 1 and 1A. I'd put McLaughlin right below that with Dixon and Rossi and Oxplow.
It's just great that we can have that conversation,
for sure.
Isn't it? Yeah, I don't think he's the favorite either. So I'll say Bull Bleep, but it would not surprise me. I see a lot of people picking him to be the IndyCar champion. I think it's a worthy pick. You can certainly defend that case. Finally, 40 years old is not old. Buy it or Bull Bleep?
I would buy that.
I'll buy it, yep. Not old.
It is weird, as will happen to you, Derek. Let me ask you this. How old are your folks?
I think I've gotten more sexy. Is that possible for me? Because that's a pretty high sexiness level already. My folks are in their 70s, to answer your question.
Your dad is how old?
71.
Your dad was born in what year?
51.
51.
Summer of 51.
So do you remember when you were in second grade?
I remember Lordy Bruce's 40. We were at Papa Dick and Nana Vera's house in South Bend. They're both since passed.
That's when it starts getting surreal.
We start remembering,
that's when it starts getting
a little
surreal.
Weird.
Yeah.
Because my dad was old. Not like me. He wasn't like cool and fresh and whatever else. Like he was old at 40.
Okay.
Like I'm cool and fresh and hip.
It is very surreal.
Awesome.
It's very bizarre.
It's great.
But happy birthday to you.
Thanks.
You've accomplished.
You have the floor.
Huh?
You have the floor.
You have accomplished more by the age of 40 than I did by the age of 40. And the only thing that I accomplished between 40 and 50 was a health scare that I hope eludes you. So congratulations on being a solid family guy and a decent coworker by the age of 40.
Solid? Decent?
That's what I
got
said.
Nothing else in your word bank? Exemplary? Elite?
Not really. I did. I had a whole speech written. Okay. Here's the thing, just so everybody knows. I had an entire speech, a heartfelt, sentimental, tear-jerking speech written for Derek, where I wanted to mention the fact that I apologized for the years of neglect about his birthday, despite him having to live for so long as a triplet and not being able to share,
Thank you.
or not have to share, I should say, the glory and the limelight of his birthday. I had a long speech written about the fact that he's become a great father to his son James, a great husband to his wife Ashley, and a good coworker that even times when he probably should have did not get mad at me. No.
Get the best friend part in there.
That's not accurate.
All right.
But he did not get upset or angry with me at times where it absolutely would have been justified in doing so. I had a long speech written about all of that, about how I'm happy about the fact that my parents and his parents have become friends and that I've enjoyed the journey that we've had together as coworkers. Unfortunately, all of it was prepared for his surprise birthday party, at which point my invitation apparently was lost by the United States Postal Service. And knowing Paul the mailman and other postal workers, I think they're fine, exemplary employees that would not have lost the invitation. Therefore, I believe it simply was not mailed. As a result, my speech, unfortunately, could never be shared until now in very abbreviated and sarcastic form. So I'll simply say, happy birthday, and for 50, please do not buy the very cheap George Costanza envelope-type party favors.
I don't know if you'll be around for that.
Probably will not.
The valves and everything?
Probably
like
will
it's
not.
still not all the way back, right?
No.
It's still a little. You probably got 5 or 6 good years left.
One last stint, if you will.
5 or 6. Thanks to our great sponsors, Ball State Sports, WGU Indiana, Lou Malnati's, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, Love Heating and Cooling. Who am I missing? Chateau Kitchens.
It's impressive.
For Jake Query, I am the birthday boy. We will see you next week on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Darn it.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate. They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time. Graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.